All right, come on. I'm not starting with sports. I feel like we were talking about something good, and then the mics cut on, and I forgot because my memory is bad. But what's you guys' excuse?
We're talking about fall offs.
Oh yeah, fall offs. You don't think there's fall offs in the music world?
I think that terminology is over with.
Why? What do you think the terminology is now?
Yeah, I need to hear your theory on this.
Not streaming as well?
I don't think a decline is acknowledged anymore.
They kind of just fade away?
Or even the decline is no longer acknowledged. Because
people don't talk about it.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. They don't.
Things happen.
They don't even label it that.
Things happen so quickly.
Because there's plenty of people that still see some type of success, even though their skill set has declined or been in decline, or they may be in the latter part of their career, but shit is still moving. Fans don't. The days of a fan not fucking with you anymore, unless you totally disappear off the face of the earth, and I don't even think that's possible anymore, is over with.
Yeah, I think that's dope though.
So you saying with the older acts in that
I do
capacity?
too, Parks. I do too. I support that.
Are you saying that the older acts,
the newer ones as well? Listen, I just read a clip. I think it was on Everyday Struggles Instagram page. Shout out to that show. It was Designer talking about how he went away. And, he had to get his skills up, sharpen his knives, fuck with his pronunciation, and just whatever it said. I'm not quoting him, but he basically said, I needed the time away.
To work on his craft.
To get busy. Now.
So he needed artist development that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah, but, and that's the onus that falls on the artist a lot these days. You have to develop yourself. And a lot of times, it happened with me and a lot of other people back in the day. Fans used to indict you for watching the development or being a part of your mistakes, or like the artist had to wear that. Today, no, I think if Designer come up with a hit tomorrow, it's right back on and popping again.
Because it's
okay, well, hold on. That's a bit of a contradictory statement, because would you say he fell off?
No.
Because he did an interview with somebody?
No, I wouldn't say he fell off, because from the start, I think I've looked at that with industry eyes, which was, you had a song that was rocking. You and Kanye did some business. That song then was striped for his album. Mm-hmm. Then you got minimal support for a little bit. Nothing gained traction because it takes finances for something to gain traction and support. You had none of that, and then you stopped to go figure it out. Okay, I think that's the story for a lot of artists, and I don't think that's a fall off.
By definition, though, to the public eye, because that's really who determines these things, not us knowing what's going on in the background, that would be a fall off. When you had a huge record, and then we ain't hear from you again.
When that term was frequent and active. That's my point today. Yeah, you're right. By that definition, we would have called that a fall off. Today, not only did they not call it a fall off, but they allotted the time for him to develop himself and come back with more music. He's been going for however many years. When was that designer? 2014?
14, 15 maybe?
Think about that, Rory. That is career. That would have been career suicide last decade.
Oh, yeah.
That only exists today. Hey,
it's a lot easier now.
For me, when I wanted to get a whole new deal, and it was positioned to me like, yo, the amount of time that it's going to take the lawyers to go back and forth for you to get out, create a new album, market a new album, and put it out. You've been gone for now a year and a half, 2 years. You think the fans are sticking with you? That was the motto of the old music business. I just don't think that exists today.
No, I think there's just, within streaming and the newer crowd, they're not stuck to artists the way, outside of the obvious ones that have core fan bases, they're not stuck to artists the way we used to be and invested in artists. They're invested in the moment and invested in what's hot. So yeah, Designer could come back with a new song, and if everyone likes it, no one's going to give a fuck that he fell off before. But by definition, yes, Designer fell off.
It takes a lot less resources now than it used to. Studios used to be $250 an hour, minimum. Not to mention actually having to get a producer to come in there and spend the time there and, pay for mixes and all that kind of thing, and then physically build a product. CD or a record or a tape.
I'm glad.
Then just the process to put that record then out and work it on radio was a thing. Now you could just put the shit online.
I'm glad you just said that, Parks, because I just had this thought yesterday. I might even express this to Ian. Yo, if this contract that we were in for this podcast right now lasted an additional 5 years, all locked in exactly where we were, I wouldn't do this podcast no more.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's fair.
And I think that is the story with a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of deals are 5 albums.
That's my point.
It's really tough to get it down to 3 albums, which is like an ideal situation.
We go to stoppage of work when the shit is too bad or is exponentially long, like it's mad long in his contract at these horrible terms. And then it's like we don't have nothing but the stoppage. And that today, I just think is viewed differently than it was back then. The fans got so much more information now, number one. And number two, the artists got so many more outlets to make money.
Yeah.
That was the big thing I was going to say, Joe. Just now, it's so easy for artists to remain visible. Like, you don't have to really be putting out music. You can be, on Instagram being funny. You can be on Instagram just, opening sneakers that somebody gifted you and just putting on a dope outfit. And, it's very easy to remain in people's eyes. Like, it's very easy for people to still see you. And, people are asking, yo, what's up with the music? What's up with the music? But you can be giving them a whole bunch of other shit. You know what I'm saying? You can get into some back and forth with another artist on Instagram, and then now that got you buzzing for the week. You can put out a freestyle. Like, it's so many ways to remain visible. So, yeah, the fall off as we knew it doesn't exist anymore.
It's so much easier. It's so much easier to create, man. You realize that, like, people used to have to actually bring an MPC to a studio and track it out. Like, it's not like it is now.
Right.
Like, literally, to create music, you had to be in the same room with people.
Hey, wow, I want to stick with what you guys are talking about so I can make Rory stand on his earlier point that he hasn't yet said on the podcast. But boy, when he said it, it really ruffled my feathers.
What was that?
Where are your feathers?
When you said they're all over the place.
Okay.
Look, ruffled.
They're right. Okay, I didn't see them.
Get the fuck. The fuck is that?
That's my ruffle.
Nah, don't do that again.
All right, my bad.
Is this because the ice spilled everywhere in the kitchen?
No.
Okay.
When you said you're getting a little tired of that excuse, the excuse of
No. I
get your shit off.
Well, I didn't think we were done with that conversation. I was going to bring that up.
Oh, I only bring it up now because of where Mall started and where Parks went, which was it's so much easier to do all this other stuff and do music than it was back then.
No, I completely agree with Mall. In leveraging your celebrity from music and monetizing it is easier than it's ever been and more lucrative than it's ever been and more of an incentive to do it than it's ever been.
Right.
But I said off mic, I was one of those people that use that excuse for artists. Well, they're not focused on their music anymore. They've gone on to other business ventures. And I'm getting a little tired of that excuse. There's only few artists that I can give that to because I can see they're actually serious about business. I think that excuse happens a lot of times when their music's just not good anymore.
That's not fair though.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is. I think a lot of times, especially today, a lot of artists really do have their hands in a lot of other shit, especially when they have money.
And
like
they
when
don't
they've been successful,
have to post it.
Right, and when they've been successful and they have all this money, they start getting into, producing films and different businesses. And honestly, now it's like a lot of these artists, because they came in playing a game that doesn't exist no more, like people don't even really make albums anymore. It's just a bunch of songs people throw out. So it's like if you came in as an artist that really was like, all right, I'm going to paint this whole thing around this album. My whole 7 months of this year is going to be about me putting together this album, putting together this look, giving people this energy that I'm on right now. And that's what and that's what not what people are checking for anymore. You got to kind of like sit back and figure out this new game and be like, so what am I supposed to just put songs out once a month? Like, how do I play this new sport?
My point is, I'm not saying people can't grow and change their goals and objectives and move on to other ventures in their life. I'm saying a lot of artists are forced to do it because their music isn't hitting anymore. Okay, I think that's a fact. Yeah. So I'm not just giving them his shit's not good no more because he's just focused on selling champagne. I think his music stopped hitting, and because he's such a creative and a smart person, he said, all right, well, this isn't hitting no more. I'm going to have to find a new way to leverage this. I'm going to get into different businesses.
But why do you
I don't think he did it because he wanted to.
Why do you think some artists' music doesn't hit the same anymore?
Times change. And I just think the same way athletes' bodies just kind of deteriorate with working so much, I think that happens with artists' minds.
Oh, I disagree.
No, I think it's all about
the great ones can continue on.
If Park disagree, I'm disagreeing too.
Okay.
I think it's the consumers.
That separates the great ones to me. The great ones can continue doing it.
Well, just the real ones. You know,
music is a young. Go ahead, Park.
There's some people that make music and just pop off because it was a thing to do. There's some people that are artists and do this for real. And the ones that are artists and do this for real, I don't think particularly ever fall off.
Mm-hmm. Music is a young man's game for the masses. Of course, the ones that have the niche sound and niche fan base can continue to do that. but there are a lot of artists that focus on the mainstream. And they work themselves out of that mind state to keep up with the young kids. And I think it sounds bad.
Yeah, and that's what I was.
That's why you shouldn't serve the moment.
A lot of these artists now are just putting out momentary records. Like they're hot right now, and then we never hear about these records again because of streaming. People just want to stream well right now. Where a lot of artists that are coming from the era of my album has to be dope. Like I got to put out a dope album. Like a lot of these new artists, they don't care about putting out a dope album. They just want to give you a few dope songs that's going to stream well. They don't give you a whole entire moment of an album. Like they don't give you that anymore. So a lot of these artists, these older artists that were popping that may not be streaming as well now, I think that they're just trying to figure out this new game of like, what the fuck how am I supposed to just put out a song? Like, but that's not me. I give people projects. I give people a whole look. Like I don't know how to just give you a record and then disappear for 2 months. Like
to that point, and kind of to a different point, that had me thinking, I'm curious when the labels are going to change their record deals, because we were just talking about a lot of deals are 5 albums, 3 albums that you're required to meet to fulfill your deal and get the most money. For the artists that don't do that, I mean, we saw it with Uzi at Atlantic when he wasn't putting out an album. He had fucking like 13 records on Billboard, and he's like, why would I put an album out? I'm curious to see if they're going to cater record deals around singles. You have to fulfill this amount of streams per record to get out of your deal or get your next advance.
I can see that.
I've actually been really curious to know if they're still doing controlled composition clauses in record contracts. When I was listening to Future's album, it made me think of it. So back in the day, they used to only pay a percentage of your publishing and usually capped it at the kind of quote unquote standard was 10 songs. So I'm wondering if they're still doing that, because every major label artist that you see nowadays is putting out 20-song albums to juice streaming numbers. Right. Are they only getting paid for 10 of the songs at 75% per song?
No. The streaming percentages break down whatever that little penny is. I think has changed that. Well, because before that was easier when it was easier when somebody was paying $14.99, $12.99 direct for a CD, or they were paying $9.99 directly to iTunes. That could be broken down to a simpler way. I'm sure it's different now. There's no way it could still be that way. Or if it is, that's fucked up.
Word.
Which wouldn't shock me either.
It is different, and it's by time, I think, now. But I don't remember where I got that information, so I'm not saying anything. We should research it and find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's a great question. Yeah, great question.
The most recent record contract, but again, they're all different, that I saw within the month required 10 songs.
And I'm so happy that I don't have anybody to call on this matter because I'm out of my pub deal, bitch.
Congrats. No, give an applause. That's fire.
Well, I announced it when it happened.
Oh,
I got you.
Congrats. But no, I'm just saying, it's awesome. Now, I don't know what that means because I'm retired, but...
Still good.
But
look at the timing.